I used to be the guy people whispered about in rooms they thought were soundproof. They called me the ghost. Now, my name is Ethan Hayes, and I'm a live-in son-in-law everyone in this crumbling three-bedroom walk-up can shout at. A washed-up fixer hiding in plain sight. Then I slip in the bathroom, crack my head on the toilet tank, and the world hasn't been quiet since. It's like everyone's inner monologue is blasting on a loudspeaker, especially my mother-in-law, a woman with the combat readiness of a drill sergeant, and my gorgeous Ice Queen CO wife, Claire. For 3 years, my mother-in-law has been brainstorming 1,000 ways to kick me to the curb. For 3 years, Claire's disappointment has been a tangible thing, a wall of ice between us while she pours everything into her career. The toilet in our main bathroom has been broken for 3 months. I've called the super so many times he has my number blocked. In this house, I have less clout than the stray we used to feed back at the garage. Phoenix, you want to treat me like a ghost? You're about to find out why they called me that. With this new mind-reading trick, corporate espionage and petty backstabbing are now an open book test. And my goal is simple. First, I'm going to fix this damn toilet. Then, I'm going to make all the people who look down on my wife, who scheme against her, experience a special kind of plumbing service straight from hell. Like this morning, my mother-in-law, Sharon, smiled sweetly. Ethan, honey, the toilet's acting up again. Would you mind taking a look? Useless. Can't even fix a toilet. Why won't he just get lost? Forget about dinner tonight, you freeloader. I gave her my best humble nod. Sure, Sharon. No problem. I'll get it sorted out. Toilet? Please. The last thing I had to sort out was the entire Philly mob. Claire came home late, exhaustion etched onto her perfect face. Is it fixed? If he can actually fix it, I'll sign the company over to him tomorrow. Ugh, I'll have to call a plumber again. I wiped the sweat from my brow and handed her a glass of warm water. Fixed. And I installed that heated seat you mentioned wanting last winter. Her eyes widened just for a second. Maybe he's not completely useless after all. Ethan, you useless bum. Did you break the toilet again? What did this family do to deserve a walking disaster like you? I shot up in bed, the shriek from my mother-in-law, Sharon, piercing through my skull like an air raid siren. My head throbbed. Last night, the bathroom light bulb had burned out. I'd stumbled in, my foot slipped on a wet spot, and my head made intimate, violent contact with the porcelain throne. The world went black. Next thing I knew, I was waking up on the lumpy cot in the spare room they call my bedroom. Same old, rundown apartment. Yellowing walls, the air thick with the smell of old pipes and yesterday's dinner. Nothing had changed, and yet something had. Right after Sharon's screech, a voice echoed in my mind, crystal clear, like a movie voiceover. That son of a bitch. If he hadn't been bleeding a little last night, I'd have thrown him out the window myself. A grown man, good for nothing but eating our food. And now he's broken the toilet. When Claire gets home, I'm going to demand she finally divorce this loser. I froze. What the hell was that? Was my brain streaming internal commentary now? Did that toilet tank knock a few screws loose? Useless. What are you waiting for? Get out here and look what you've done. Sharon was now pounding on my door. I stumbled out of bed, a million questions buzzing in my head, and shuffled to the bathroom. It looked like a disaster zone. A hairline crack snaked down the toilet tank, dripping water onto the already warped linoleum. Sharon stood in a puddle, glaring at me while clutching a mop like it was a battle axe. Sharon, I started to explain. Don't you at me. Shut your damn mouth. I get angry just looking at you. She fumed silently, while her mouth snapped. You what? Shut up. The sight of you makes me sick. I'm telling you, Ethan, you will fix this toilet today. If it's not fixed by dinner, you can get out and don't even think about eating. Him? If he can fix a toilet, I'll change my name to Jezebel. I want to see how he gets out of this one. Maybe he'll make it worse, and Claire will finally see him for the complete failure he is. There was again that voice. Too clear, too distinct to be a hallucination. Holy hell, did I get the power to read minds? This was some comic book nonsense. Meet Ethan Hayes, once known as the Ghost, a name that could make hardened criminals break out in a cold sweat. I'd washed my hands of the life, gone completely off the grid, and married into the Miller family to keep a promise I'd made to Claire's dying grandfather. For 3 years, I played the part of the meek, useless husband. I hadn't gotten the warm embrace of a loving wife, but I got a superpower instead, and it took getting knocked out by a toilet to activate it. Was porcelain my trigger word? What are you staring at? Get to it, Sharon barked. I sighed. Okay, Sharon, I'll figure something out. Figure something out? What's he gonna figure out? The only thing he knows how to make is watery oatmeal that could pass for cement glue. He'll just call the super, who'll say he needs to order a part that'll take 3 weeks to get here. Useless. Listening to her inner monologue, I suddenly saw the last 3 years of verbal abuse in a new light. I'd always thought she was just cruel. Turns out, she's a frustrated stand-up comedian with a built-in laugh track. Ignoring her mental tirade, I walked into the bathroom and crouched down to examine the wounded toilet. The tank was cracked, and the fill valve was shot. It was an old model. Finding parts would be a nightmare. 3 years ago, I needed to disappear. My old life was catching up with me, and I'd made a promise. The Miller family's company was on the verge of bankruptcy. I'd stepped in anonymously, pulled some strings, and made their problems vanish. The only price was that I had to marry Claire Miller under the guise of an ordinary, down-on-his-luck guy. Claire, a woman with ambition burning in her veins, had gritted her teeth and agreed to the marriage to save her family's legacy. And me? I was happy to find a quiet place to lay low and watch over her from the shadows. So the ghost, the man who once moved millions with a single phone call, became Ethan Hayes, the stay-at-home husband who did laundry and got called useless by his mother-in-law. If my old crew knew their legendary boss was currently stumped by a leaky toilet, they'd die of laughter. Hey, what are you doing down there? Trying to hatch an egg? Sharon sneered, arms crossed. Putting on a show. In a minute, he'll stand up, throw his hands in the air, and say, Sharon, I can't do it. Worthless piece of trash. Without looking up, I touched the crack and tested the flushing mechanism. Sharon, this thing is ancient. We need to replace the whole unit, I said, standing up. Replace. Her voice shot up an octave. Easy for you to say. Do you think toilets are free? Are you paying for it? You can't even afford to buy your own underwear. I'm telling you, fix this one. It has to be fixed. Trying to spend my Claire's hard-earned money? Not a chance. You won't get a single penny out of me, you leech. I finally got it. She didn't want it fixed. She just wanted to torture me. I smiled and pulled out my cheap, untraceable flip phone. All right, we don't have to replace it. I'll call someone to fix it. Call someone? Who's he going to call? His deadbeat friends? They're all even more broke than he is. I ignored her and dialed a number I knew by heart. The phone was answered on the first ring. Boss, you finally called. I thought you blocked my number. Boss, where are you? You in trouble? Just say the word. I'll bring the whole crew. We'll tear this city down for you. It was Leo, my former right-hand man. 6'4", built like a brick shit house, a guy who could tie a steel pipe into a pretzel. I held the phone away from my ear. Keep your voice down, I said quietly. And nobody's tearing anything down. I need you to do something for me. Anything, boss. You want me to walk through fire? I'm there. Not necessary, I said, looking at the leaking toilet. My toilet's broken. I need you to find the best plumber in the city with the best tools and get him over here. And Leo, make it fast. The other end of the line went silent for a good 5 seconds. I could picture the confused look on Leo's face. Be boss. You said. Fix what? The toilet. Oh, right, the toilet. Leo sounded like he was in a daze. Okay, yes, boss. I get it. Don't you worry. I'll get the world's best. Sanitation engineer over there right away. We'll get it fixed up proper. Is someone giving you trouble over this toilet? You tell me who it is. No, don't overthink it. Just get it done. I'm waiting. I hung up and saw Sharon staring at me like I just sprouted a second head. Who was that? Acting like a big shot. The world's best engineer? Ethan, I think hitting your head really did break your brain. What a load of crap. I can't wait to see how this plays out. Best engineer. More like some guy with a plunger from Craigslist. I just shrugged. This was going to be fun. Less than 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang. Sharon went to the door, looking suspicious. Who could that be? That was fast. It can't really be his guy, can it? That's pretty efficient. I guess even plumbers are competitive these days. The moment she opened the door, she froze. Standing in our dingy hallway were 2 enormous men in crisp black suits, complete with white gloves and hair slicked back with enough gel to be bulletproof. The man in front wore a gold chain so thick it looked like a bike lock. It glittered under the single, flickering hallway bulb. Excuse me, Is this the residence of Mr. Hayes? The man with the chain asked, bowing slightly. His tone was more fitting for a butler at a five-star hotel. Sharon's mouth hung open. Holy, who are these guys? The mob? Does that useless Ethan actually know people like this? Tiger? What are you doing here yourself? I asked calmly. This was Tiger, one of Leo's top guys. He used to be my driver. Tiger looked like he was about to drop to his knees, but a sharp look from me stopped him cold. He straightened up instantly. Boss, Mr. Hayes, Leo said your business is the most important business in the world. It has to be handled perfectly. This is Mr. Hans, the chief engineer for the international luxury brand Louis Vuitton Imperial. He stepped aside to reveal a blond man in immaculate designer coveralls, holding a sleek, expensive-looking toolbox. The foreigner bowed to me and said in heavily accented English, Mr. Hayes, an honor. Sharon looked like her eyes were about to pop out of her head. International brand? Chief engineer? And he's a foreigner? What the hell is going on with that bum Ethan? Did he secretly win the lottery? All right, don't just stand there. Come on in, I said, stepping aside. Tiger and Mr. Hans entered our tiny, sub-80 square meter apartment with the cautious reverence of explorers discovering a lost tomb. Mr. Hans, in particular, looked at our cracked toilet with a frown so deep you could lose a coin in it. Oh my God, is this an antique from the last century? He murmured. Tiger jabbed him with an elbow. Shut up, he hissed in English. It's a piece of art belonging to Mr. Hayes. I had to bite my cheek to keep from laughing. Mr. Hayes, Tiger began, wringing his hands. This piece has a lot of vintage character. Repairing it might be difficult. Leo's suggestion was, maybe we could just install a new one for you. My mother-in-law says no replacement, I said, glancing at the petrified Sharon. Sharon's inner world was a raging storm. No replacement? I said that because I thought he'd be spending our money. If I'd known he could summon guys like this, why would I have stopped him? This foreign guy looks like a pro. Replace it. We have to replace it. Get a gold-plated one. Her last thought made my twitch. Tiger understood immediately. He leaned in and whispered, Mr. Hayes, Leo has it all taken care of. The truck's downstairs. We brought a dozen of the latest smart toilets. We've got models with massage functions, heated water, air drying, and a solid gold one. Which one would you prefer? I was beginning to suspect Leo had also been knocked out by a toilet recently. Just a normal one. Something sturdy, I said, my head starting to ache again. Got it. Tiger spun around and snapped his fingers. Two more guys in matching coveralls appeared, carrying a large object shrouded in a red velvet cloth. Sharon scurried closer. Tiger grinned at her. Ma'am, we chose this one especially for Mr. Hayes. It's the Neptune's throne model. Global limited edition, aerospace-grade titanium alloy core, fully automated sensors, 8 hydrotherapy modes, and it connects to Bluetooth to play music. With a flourish, he yanked off the cloth. The living room was instantly bathed in a blinding golden light. It was a toilet that shone with the unholy brilliance of 1,000 suns. Solid gold, or at least very, very well plated. And were those rhinestones around the seat? Sharon stopped breathing. Oh my God, a golden toilet. How much is that worth? I've never seen so much gold in my life. Ethan, my son-in-law has made it. No, this has to be a mistake. They delivered it to the wrong place. Yes, that must be it. I pressed my fingers to my forehead, feeling my blood pressure rise. Tiger, I thought I said a normal one. Mr. Hayes, this is the most basic one we have, he said, looking wounded. Leo said anything less would be an insult, and he was afraid you'd get angry. What could I even say? Just then, we heard a key in the front door. Mom, I'm home. It was Claire, my CEO wife. She was dressed in a sharp, gray power suit, her long hair pinned up, revealing the elegant curve of her neck. Her beautiful face was a mask of cool indifference, but her eyes held a deep weariness. She was a walking, talking iceberg. And then she stepped into the living room and saw the gleaming golden toilet, Tiger, and his crew of men who looked like they just stepped out of a mob movie. She stopped dead in her tracks. What is going on here? She asked, her brow furrowed. Before I could say anything, Sharon rushed over and grabbed her hand. Claire, look, a golden toilet. Ethan got it. Ethan did. Quick, praise him. Let Claire see that her useless husband finally did something amazing. Claire's gaze fell on me. It was cold and sharp, like she was trying to dissect me with her eyes. Ethan, where did he get something like this? Did he scam someone? Take out a loan from a loan shark? I knew it. A man like him only ever causes trouble. Her thoughts hit me with a dull ache. In 3 years, she'd never once given me the benefit of the doubt. Ethan, you'd better explain this, Claire said, her voice like ice. I sighed, about to make up a story about winning a bizarre sweepstakes, but Tiger beat me to it. He bowed a full 90 degrees to Claire, his voice booming. Good evening, ma'am. We're friends of the boss. We heard the toilet was broken, so we brought over a new one. Just a small token of our respect. The word ma'am, delivered with the reverence of a knight addressing his queen, made Claire's face flush a deep crimson. In 3 years of marriage, this was the first time anyone had called her that in front of me. Ma'am? Who is this guy? And why does he say that so naturally? Are all of Ethan's friends gangsters? For the first time, her inner monologue contained something other than disgust or disappointment. It was a flicker of confusion and shyness? Interesting. Who are you calling, ma'am? Don't be ridiculous, she snapped, though her voice lacked its usual bite. And get this thing out of here. We don't need something so gaudy. Ethan, I don't want you bringing your shady friends to this house ever again. Tiger looked crushed, glancing at me for help. I stepped between them. Claire, they're my friends, not shady people. And I asked them to bring a new toilet. The old one was a hazard. It was the first time in 3 years I'd spoken to her as an equal, not as a subordinate. Claire was visibly taken aback. She stared at me, her eyes filled with a strange, searching look. He's different today. His eyes, they've changed. I said, get it out, she repeated, but her voice was softer now. What'll we do with this thing? It's so ostentatious. If the neighbors see it, the entire building will know we have a golden toilet by tomorrow. It's mortifying. So that was it. She was embarrassed. I got it. I turned to Tiger. Tiger, thanks for the thought. But this is too much. I appreciate the gesture, but take it back. Just swap it for a standard white one, a good quality model. Yes, boss, Tiger said, looking immensely relieved. He immediately ordered his men to haul the golden throne out. A few minutes later, they brought in a sleek, modern, white smart toilet. Mister, Hans installed it with swift, professional precision. As they were leaving, Tiger tried to shove a black credit card into my hand, saying it was for expenses. In front of Claire and Sharon, I tossed it right back to him. Friendship isn't measured in dollars, Tiger. Go back and tell Leo not to worry about me. I'm doing just fine. Tiger's eyes welled up. He gave me a sharp, respectful nod and left with his crew. The apartment was finally quiet. Sharon was admiring the new toilet, which was now glowing with a soft blue light, practically cooing over how high-tech it was. Her gaze toward me was now filled with a mix of curiosity and, was that fear? Claire just stood there, watching me, her expression unreadable. Who is he really? Why were his friends so respectful? They called him boss. Has he been acting this whole time, for 3 years? Or is this? That night at dinner, for the first time in history, Sharon put a piece of pot roast on my plate. Ethan, you worked hard today. Here, eat up. The bum finally did something useful. He deserves a piece of meat. But those friends of his looked like trouble. I hope he doesn't get our Claire mixed up in anything bad. I ate the roast without a word, thinking to myself that this mind-reading thing was a gift. It let me know that my Ice Queen wife wasn't just full of contempt. She was full of questions. And curiosity, as I well knew, was the first step toward surrender. The next morning, I was awakened by Sharon's usual reveille. Ethan, what time is it? The sun's been up for hours. Get up and go get groceries. Her inner monologue followed like a news ticker. He got a big head yesterday. Time to knock him down a peg. A man's place is in the kitchen and at the market. Oomph. I shook my head, smiling, and got dressed. The new toilet gleamed in the bathroom, a beacon of modern technology. Sharon was humming to herself, and I could tell she was pleased. Here, she said, handing me a crumpled $50 bill. This is for today. Go to the East Side Market, not the supermarket. You hear me? Claire's coming home for lunch. She's been working so hard. Get some fish she likes and some vegetables. And be frugal. $50 for fish and vegetables. Let's see how he manages that. He'll probably come back with a dead fish and wilted lettuce. and then I'll have a real reason to yell at him. I took the 50, amused. Sharon, my dear mother-in-law, you have no idea that your son-in-law used to run an empire on more than just muscle. The East Side Market was a 20-minute walk, a chaotic symphony of shouting vendors, bargaining grandmas, and the raw smell of life. I hadn't been in a place like this in years. It felt good. I stopped at a fish stall run by a big, shirtless guy with a rubber apron. Hey, how much for the sea bass? The vendor didn't even look up. 15 a pound. No haggling. My eyes locked on the biggest, liveliest bass in the tank. Another sucker. This one's got to be at least 1.5 pounds. That'll ring up to 22, 23 bucks. He looks too broke for that. I'll just grab him a half-dead one and call it 15 flat. Hearing his thoughts, I grinned. Is that scale accurate? I asked, pointing to his grimy digital scale. He bristled. Hey, watch your mouth, kid. I'm honest, Lou. Been selling fish here for 10 years. My scale is perfect. Damn punk, calling me out? This scale's rigged to add 20%. That's how I make my real money, off chumps like you. Is that so? I smiled. Mind if I test it with a bottle of water? I bought a 16-ounce bottle of water from a nearby stand, took a sip, and placed it on his scale. The numbers jumped, then settled at 1.25 lbs. A 16-ounce bottle is 1 pound. He was over by 1/4 pound. The crowd of shoppers around us started murmuring. Lou's face turned the color of a ripe tomato. Shit, what are the odds? Ran into a pro. This is so embarrassing. Ahem. Well, maybe it needs a little calibration, he stammered, fumbling with the buttons. I just watched him smiling. When he was done, I put the bottle back on. It read 1.01 lbs. Close enough. Now about that fish. Looking utterly defeated, he netted the big bass I'd been eyeing. On the honest scale, it came to 1.6 pounds. $24. Damn it, a total loss. Waste of my morning. I handed him the money, then pointed to his box of scallions and ginger. Throw in some scallions and a piece of ginger, right? For the trouble. He looked like he wanted to argue, but with everyone watching, he just grunted and tossed in the bag. With the fish in hand, I felt great. One scammer down, and I was still under budget. I had 26 bucks left for vegetables and whatever else. As I headed for the produce stalls, I heard an argument. You old hag, where do you think you're going? You hit my car, a whiny voice shouted. I looked over. A bleach blonde punk with a dragon tattoo snaking up his arm was yelling at a terrified-looking old woman with a rickety pushcart. Next to them was a brand new BMW with a long scratch on the door. I'm sorry, son, so sorry, I didn't mean to. The old woman stammered, her face pale. I'll pay for it. Hey, the punk scoffed. This is an import, lady. A new paint job is going to be $2,000 minimum. You got that kind of cash? T2000. The old woman looked like she was about to faint. I don't have that kind of money. Huh, look at this old bat. I bet she doesn't have 2 nickels to rub together. I'll scare a few hundred out of her easy. That scratch? I did it myself yesterday, backing out of my garage. Perfect opportunity. My brow furrowed. Trying to extort an old woman in broad daylight? I couldn't stand for that. I was about to step in when a familiar figure moved first, positioning herself between the punk and the old woman. Sir, I think you're overreacting. It was an accident, and a paint touch-up does not cost $2,000. It was Claire. What is she doing here? Shouldn't she be at the office? Who's this chick? Not bad looking. Dressed nicely. Maybe she's got money. Playing the hero, huh? More like a beauty trying to save the beast. The punk eyed Claire up and down. Who the hell are you? Mind your own business. It costs what I say it costs. Unless you want to pay for her, he sneered. Claire's jaw tightened. She clearly hadn't expected to run into a complete scumbag. She was wearing workout clothes, so she must have been out for a morning run. This guy's a lowlife. Arguing with him is pointless. Should I call the cops? But I have that huge contract meeting this morning. Looks like she's scared. Maybe I can shake her down, too. Seeing her hesitation, the punk got bolder. What, no money? Then get lost before I get rough with you two. He made a fist to emphasize his point. The old woman was trembling. Claire's face was pale. I'd seen enough. I strolled over, fish in hand, and slid up next to Claire. Hey, honey, just grabbing some groceries. What's all the commotion? I asked with a smile, gently pulling her behind me. Claire started, her eyes wide with a mix of emotions. Ethan? What's he doing here? And what did he just call me? Honey. Her cheeks turned a lovely shade of pink. The punk looked me up and down. Oh, so you're together? What, you want to jump me? This guy's dressed like a construction worker. Total pushover. I'll take care of both of them. I ignored him, looking at Claire. What happened? She quickly explained. I nodded, then turned back to the punk, my smile never wavering. Look, man, let's call it a day. I'll cover the old lady's damages. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the remaining $26. Are you kidding me? He exploded, shoving me in the chest. 26 bucks? What am I, a charity case? Claire grabbed my arm, her grip tight. Ethan, don't. He's just looking for a fight. I could feel her hand trembling. She was worried about me. The thought made me ridiculously happy. I didn't budge an inch from his shove. Friend, I said, my voice dangerously calm. You should learn when to walk away. Walk away? I'm not leaving until I get my money, he screamed, swinging a wild punch at my face. The crowd gasped. Claire squeezed her eyes shut. We're screwed. This was the moment I've been waiting for. As his fist flew toward my nose, I moved. It was a simple thing, just a slight turn of my body. His punch sailed past my ear. At the same time, the hand holding the grocery bag flicked forward. The C base, still fresh and firm, whipped through the air like a silver club. It made a wet, slapping sound as it connected squarely with the punk's cheek. Whap! I'd used just the right amount of force. It would sting like hell, but do no real damage. Arg! He howled, stumbling back, clutching his face. A perfect, red imprint of a fish, complete with a few shimmering scales, was stamped on his cheek. The entire market went silent. Everyone stared at me, and at the heroic fish in my hand. Claire's eyes were wide open, her pretty mouth forming a perfect O. Did he just hit that guy? With a fish? I casually shook the base. Oh, my bad, man. Slipped, I said innocently. You okay? The punk was on the verge of tears. You hit me. Do you know who my boss is? Don't know, don't care, I said, my smile gone. You have two choices. 1, you get in your car and you leave. 2, I call the cops and we let them determine exactly how that scratch got on your door. The word cops made his eyes dart nervously. Shit, how'd he know I was faking it? Did he see through me? No way I can let the cops get involved. You just wait. My boss is Vince Drake. You're dead, he stammered, then scrambled into his BMW and sped away. The show was over. The old woman thanked us profusely and hurried off. The crowd dispersed, buzzing about the man who won a fight with a fish. Soon, it was just me and Claire, standing in the middle of the market. The air was thick with unspoken words. She started, then stopped. That was kinda hot. I almost laughed out loud when I heard that. My ice queen had a thing for unconventional combat. What's up, honey? Mesmerized by your husband's heroic deeds. I leaned in, grinning. Who's your honey? You're shameless. Her face went from pink to scarlet. She shot me a glare, turned on her heel, and stormed off. My heart is pounding. When did he become so cocky? But when he stood in front of me, I actually felt safe. Watching her retreat, I lifted my Piscean weapon in a silent toast. Life with mind reading and a secret past was going to be anything but boring. That afternoon, I cooked the heroic sea base. The mood at the lunch table was strange. Sharon kept looking at me as if I were a science experiment. What got into this bum? First, he gets a golden toilet installed, and now he's winning street fights with seafood? The neighbor said he took out a thug with one swing of a fish. Is that even possible? I thought he was a total weakling. Claire picked at her food, silent, but her eyes kept flicking in my direction. The way he fought. It wasn't like the man I thought I knew. The man I married couldn't even open a pickle jar. Had he been faking it? Why? It seemed my little market adventure had made quite an impression. Good. Let them wonder. Ethan, Sharon finally said, putting down her chopsticks. I heard you got into a fight at the market today. Not really a fight, I said, flaking off a piece of fish. Just a reasoned debate. The other guy was so moved by my compelling arguments that he left in a hurry. Sharon's eye twitched. A reasoned debate? With a fish? When did this loser learn to lie with a straight face? Claire looked up at me. He's not telling the truth. How many other secrets is he hiding? Well, just stay out of trouble, Sharon huffed. We're a respectable family. We can't have you brawling in public. If the police got involved, think of how it would look for Claire. Don't you dare jeopardize my daughter's future. He's a nobody, but Claire is our family's only hope. I understand, Sharon, I said. The meal finished in that tense, weird silence. Later, Claire went back to the office, and Sharon went to the community center to brag to her friends about her imported toilet. I was enjoying the peace and quiet when my burner phone buzzed. It was Leo. Boss, I heard you slapped a guy from the Drake Syndicate around with a C base today at the market. Leo's voice was electric with excitement. I sighed. News travels fast. You know it. The whole underworld is talking about it. They're saying you've reached a new level of mastery in your retirement, that you've created a new martial art. The way of the angry fish. Boss, you're a legend. I was starting to think Leo spent my 3-year absence reading too many bad action novels. Cut the crap, Leo. What's the Drake Syndicate? Just a bunch of wannabes, boss. You wouldn't know them. Led by a guy named Vince Drake. They've been getting aggressive on the east side lately, throwing their weight around because they've got a new backer. Vince Drake. The name rang a bell. Claire's biggest business rival right now was a company called Drake Industries, owned by Vince Drake. Had to be the same guy. Boss, don't you worry. Anyone who messes with you is messing with us. I'll take the crew over to his headquarters and we'll redecorate. Stand down, I ordered. I told you, I'm a civilian now. I don't want any trouble. But they disrespected you and the missus. I got it handled. Stay out of it. I hung up, my mind racing. If the punk from the market worked for Claire's business rival, this wasn't just a random encounter. Vince Drake was a nasty piece of work, ruthless and cruel. If he found out I was Claire's husband, this civilian life was about to get complicated. That evening, Claire came home very late. She looked terrible. She threw her purse on the sofa and sank into a chair, rubbing her temples. Claire, what is it? Trouble at work? Sharon asked, fluttering around her. Claire just shook her head. That bastard Vince Drake. Using such dirty tactics to steal the project we've been working on for 6 months. And he had the nerve to say I had to have dinner with him if I wanted him to even consider a partnership. Pig. Hearing her thoughts, my blood ran cold. Vince Drake. You have no idea how short your life is about to become. Is it Vince Drake from Drake Industries again? I asked, handing her a glass of water. She looked up, surprised. How did you know? A friend mentioned him this afternoon. I lied smoothly. She took a sip of water, her eyes dull with defeat. He's trying to steal our City Lights project, and he made some inappropriate suggestions. That animal, he's a gangster, not a businessman. Sharon fumed. Claire, we should call the police. What good would that do? The cops can't do anything about business deals. This is all Ethan's fault. If my daughter had married someone rich and powerful, no one would dare bully her like this. Same old song and dance from Sharon. Claire gave a bitter laugh. It's no use, Mom. He was careful. There's no proof. The only way to win is to present a better proposal at the bid tomorrow. She picked up her bag, ready to pull an all-nighter. Wait, I said. She turned. Vince Drake, I said, looking her straight in the eye. I'll take care of him. Claire stared at me, then let out a hollow laugh. You? Ethan, don't be ridiculous. This isn't a fist fight at the market. This is the CEO of Drake Industries, not some street punk. How could he possibly solve this? By calling his mobster friends? That would only make things worse. Claire, trust me, just this once. My voice was quiet, but it held the weight of my old life. The authority of the ghost. She was stunned into silence, staring at me, unable to form a reply. The next day was the bid for the City Lights project. Claire left early, dark circles under her eyes. I ate my breakfast, then made a call to Leo. I need a full background check on Vince Drake. Everything. And give me a pass to the City Lights bid this morning. Yes, boss. 30 minutes later, Drake's entire dirty history was in a secure file on my phone, and a courier delivered a golden invitation card. Leo was still the best. I put on a cheap suit I bought 3 years ago. It was old, but I kept it clean. I looked in the mirror. Not bad. The man makes the suit, after all. When I arrived at the conference hall, Claire and her team were in a tense standoff with a greasy-looking man in a flashy suit. That had to be Vince Drake. Ms. Miller, I'm giving you one last chance, Drake was saying with a slimy grin. Agree to have dinner with me tonight, and I'll consider letting you have a small piece of this project. Otherwise, Miller Corp is walking away with nothing. Claire's face was pale with fury. Mr. Drake, I'll ask you to be professional. Professional? He laughed. In my world, power is professional. A woman like you shouldn't be working so hard anyway. Why not find a nice man to take care of you? Oh wait, I forgot. You already did. Married the whole city's laughingstock, that useless bum son-in-law. His cronies roared with laughter. Claire was shaking with rage. That's when I stepped in. Who says my wife doesn't have a man to take care of her? My voice cut through the noise. Every head turned to me. Claire's eyes were wide with shock and anger. Ethan, what are you doing here? This is not the place for you. He came here. Now, does he want me to be even more humiliated? Drake eyed me up and down, his gaze lingering on my cheap suit. So you're the famous loser, Ethan Hayes? That's me. I walked to Claire's side and took her cold hand. I gave a squeeze. It's okay, honey. I'm here now. She tried to pull her hand away, but I held on tight. His hand. It's so warm. Her inner voice was soft, and for the first time, held a note of reliance. Huh, this is priceless. Drake howled. A bum like you thinks he can play the hero? Get lost before I have you thrown out. This idiot doesn't know what's coming. After I win this bid, I'm going to have my boys break his legs and dump him in the river. I heard him, and I smiled. A very cold smile. You know, Vince, they say loose lips sink ships, I said, my voice dangerously low. Looks to me like you're about to sink your whole fleet. What did you? Vince, I interrupted, leaning close so only he could hear. That little mole on your left butt cheek, has it been itching again? I know a great dermatologist. Also, that secret account you have in the Cayman Islands, the one with the 30 million you embezzled from your father-in-law's company? I wonder what your wife would do if she found out. With every word I spoke, the color drained from his face. By the time I finished, he was white as a sheet, sweating bullets. He looked at me as if he'd just seen a ghost, which in a way he had. All of this was in the file Leo had sent me. The file had everything, down to the color of his underwear. How? How does he know all this? Nobody knows about that stuff. Who is he? Who are you? He whispered, his voice trembling. I just smiled and clapped him on the shoulder. Who I am doesn't matter. What matters is that you're going to make a smart choice in there today. Otherwise, all these little secrets I've heard might just get a little louder. I turned and, still holding a stunned Claire's hand, walked into the conference hall. Behind us, Vince Drake stood frozen like a statue. The bidding began. Claire sat beside me, still in a daze. She kept looking at me, her mind a whirlwind of confusion. How did he know all of Drake's secrets? That Cayman account. Was it real? Who was the man I married? I understood. The man she'd thought was a nobody for 3 years had just revealed a terrifyingly competent side. It was a lot to process. Don't worry, I whispered to her. This project is yours. She just stared at me, then gave a tiny, almost imperceptible nod. For now, she was choosing to trust me. It was Drake Industries' turn to present. Vince Drake stumbled onto the stage, looking like he'd swallowed a bug. He gripped the microphone, stared at the screen, but couldn't seem to speak. Murmurs started to spread through the audience. I watched him, a faint smile playing on my lips. I knew he was waiting for his cue. I took out my phone and sent him a text. Tell them you're having a gout flare-up. Let your VP handle it. On stage, his phone vibrated. He glanced at it, and a wave of relief washed over his face. He clutched his stomach. My apologies, esteemed judges. My old gout is acting up. I'm afraid my vice president will have to present our proposal today. He then practically ran off the stage and out a side door, leaving everyone staring in disbelief. His unprepared VP gave a stammering, pathetic presentation. When it was Claire's turn, she was back in her element. Her proposal was brilliant, and she delivered it with the cool confidence of a true leader. She was radiant. Watching her up there, I felt a surge of pride. This was the woman I'd married. Why is he helping me? He didn't have to. For 3 years, I've been so cold to him. I even planned to divorce him. But her gaze swept the audience and met mine. Her thoughts, clear as a bell, hit me right in the chest. She knew. She knew how much I was doing for her. The result was a foregone conclusion. Miller Corp won the City Lights project by a landslide. When the announcement was made, Claire's team erupted in cheers. But Claire's first look was to me. Her eyes were shining. Thank you, Ethan. I just gave her a subtle thumbs up. On the drive home, Claire was behind the wheel. The car was silent. After a long time, she finally spoke, her voice husky. Ethan, thank you. For today. We're married, Claire. You don't have to thank me. Who are you? She finally asked the question that had been burning in her mind. I turned to look at her. The streetlights danced across her face. I'm Ethan Hayes, I said with a small smile. Your husband. The rest. You'll find out. Eventually. He's teasing me. But I don't think I mind. Her thought made my smile widen. When we got home, she parked the car but didn't turn off the engine. She unbuckled her seatbelt and turned to face me. Ethan, can we talk? For real? Of course. For the past 3 years. I'm sorry, she said, her voice low. I admit I looked down on you. I thought you were a failure, that you weren't good enough for me. I was even planning on divorcing you once you were on your feet. I said it. Is he going to be angry? He must be so disappointed in me. I know, I said. You know? She looked shocked. I know you didn't respect me. And I know you wanted a divorce, I said, meeting her gaze. But I don't agree to it. Why? Because you're my wife, I said, my voice leaving no room for argument. For the rest of our lives. Her face flushed crimson. She looked away, unable to meet my eyes. He's so bossy. He's like a completely different person. But why is my heart beating so fast? And one more thing, I said, leaning closer until I could feel the warmth of her breath. From now on, you don't have to carry everything by yourself. You have a problem, you tell me. If the sky falls, I'll be here to hold it up for you. Then I got out of the car before I did something I wouldn't regret, like kiss her. I walked up to our apartment, leaving her sitting in the car, her hand on her hot cheek, her mind in turmoil. Ethan Hayes. You infuriating man. It was an insult, but her inner voice was full of a warmth I'd never heard before. That night, Sharon cooked a feast to celebrate. Her opinion of me had now officially upgraded from useless bum to my mysterious and capable son-in-law. During dinner, Claire, my beautiful, icy Claire, put a barbecue rib on my plate. You worked hard today, too, she mumbled, refusing to look at me. Sharon nearly dropped her fork. Is hell freezing over? My daughter. To serve him food? Are they? I looked at the rib in my bowl, and for the first time in a long time, my heart felt completely warm. The 3-year winter was finally over. The ice was beginning to thaw. Life after that was different. Claire's attitude toward me had done a complete 180. On the surface, she was still cool and composed, but her thoughts were a dead giveaway. I make her a sandwich for breakfast, and she'd take it with a nod, while thinking, the bacon is perfectly crispy today, way better than that place downtown. I'd fall asleep on the couch watching TV, and she'd quietly drape a blanket over me, her mind whispering, idiot, he's going to catch a cold. Why doesn't he just go to bed? Even Sharon was on my team now. After I used my little mind-reading trick to help her win $200 from her poker group, she started treating me like a king. My dearest son-in-law. Come, tell Mommy, is Mrs. Henderson holding a full house or bluffing? My days were spent navigating my mother-in-law's gambling habit and basking in my wife's unspoken affections. Of course, Vince Drake didn't just disappear. After doing some digging and concluding I was just a freeloader who got lucky, he sent some of his thugs to teach me a lesson. Big mistake. Leo and his crew of interior decorators paid them a visit. After a long, friendly chat, Vince Drake's problems multiplied. He started avoiding me like the plague, and Drake Industries pulled out of the East Side market entirely, ceding all of its territory to Miller Corp. With my guidance, Claire's company flourished, quickly becoming the dominant force in the city. She started relying on me for everything, running every major decision by me. My advice was always right on the money. The look in her eyes changed from curiosity to admiration to a deep, undeniable love. And then, one beautiful moonlit night, I came out of the shower to find Claire sitting on the edge of my bed. My bed, the same lumpy, uncomfortable cot I'd slept on for 3 years, because we had always slept in separate rooms. She was wearing a stunning silk nightgown that did very little to hide her perfect figure. What are you doing here? I asked, playing dumb. Her face was a beautiful shade of red. She looked down, fidgeting with the hem of her nightgown. You idiot, Ethan. I'm making it as obvious as I can. Just do something. Her thought made me grin. I walked over and sat beside her, taking her hand in mine. Claire. Yes. The moon looks beautiful tonight. Yes. You moron. Get to the point. I couldn't hold back any longer. I pulled her into my arms and kissed her. A kiss I had been waiting 3 years for. She was stiff at first, but then she melted against me, her arms wrapping around my neck, returning the kiss with a passion that took my breath away. That night, we were finally, truly husband and wife. When I woke up the next morning, she was curled up against me like a cat. I leaned down and kissed her forehead. Her long eyelashes fluttered open. She looked at me and gave me a smile that lit up the entire room. My husband. The word echoed in my mind, sweeter than anything she could have ever said out loud. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that playing the part of a loser for 3 years had been worth every single second.